Good evening, and welcome to Sparko Gaming, SuperCars NZ, all presented to you by Allports Gaming. This is the V8 SuperCars, round 10 at Knockhill. Doug here, alongside me tonight is Shane. How are we doing there, Shane?
Yeah, good thanks, Kit. Good thanks, Doug. I've got my kilt on. We've made the trip to Scotland for some racing at Knockhill.
Yeah, awesome looking track, and I believe the guys are going about it in the opposite direction. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So it ordinarily runs down to the high-speed right-hander turn 1, but tonight we're running it with the hairpin as turn 1 and taking a high-speed left-hander to finish the lap.
There we go. Yeah, so on screen, just a wee bit of a layout there. So the cars are going to be heading in a what do you call it? Anti-clockwise direction, from left round to right. One of those things. And the guys not taking too long to get round the track. About 47 seconds just over to do a full lap. So there's going to be a lot of action out there tonight as these laps count on down. 2 heat races tonight, isn't there, Shano?
Yes, I believe it's 2 races. They will be 22 laps for the first one, and the second one will be a 30 lapper. So
Wow, there you go.
obviously we saw the real V8s smashing around the very short Simmons Plains circuit in Tasmania over the weekend.
Yeah.
They were doing about a 55-second lap. These guys are under 50 seconds around here, so it just shows how short this lap is, how quickly you go around it, and how quickly the leaders are potentially going to have to deal with some lap traffic when we get into the race.
Indeed. Yeah, so that's going to bring, you can see on screen, it is quite tipsy-turvy and all over the show. It's certainly far from flat. Yeah, how's that going to work for the drivers tonight, and tyre life there, Shane?
It's certainly going to be a challenge. There's a couple of spots where you are sliding the car over some blind crests, so you are sliding the car around quite a bit, which will wear the tyres out, so trying to limit that sliding, and not in the way Rob Higgins was doing there around the hairpin, but trying to limit that sliding will be key to limiting the tyre wear and managing those tyres the best you can through the race distance. Of course, they'll have to change 4 tyres at some point in the race, in both races, but with 22 laps and 30 laps, there will still be a fair amount of managing that'll need to go on there.
Certainly will do. And just while we had the guys on screen there, we were just on with Andrew Johnson there quickly. I'm going to go back to him and just make a quick shout out to Andrew Johnson there, as he just recently acquired himself some new Sparko Gaming gloves and shoes, and he was advertising those on himself the other day on our community page. And for Andrew at the moment, we'll be looking to see if he can get his name a bit further up the grid, but very challenging track, and I'm sure with the wearing the kit, he'll be out there to bring himself up through those numbers. There's his boy Daniel, so a bit further up the grid from his old man. Maybe he's running the gears at home as well. But most of the guys look like they've potentially finished their qualifying lap numbers. There's only a few left out there at the moment. Rob Higgins being one of those, just down there in 16th spot, and there is really not much in between all of the guys with their qualifying times. Very short margins, so it's one thing to go out there and to be able to do a quick individual lap, but it's going to be probably a good fair amount of chaos, I would say, for the first few laps as the cars settle themselves in through the first few laps.
It'll be a massive challenge for those guys to find their space on the track, and of course, once they do settle into a bit of a rhythm and find that pace on the track, they will have to deal very quickly with either faster cars coming through from behind or if they're at the front, they'll very quickly have to deal with those slower cars that they'll have to get around as lap traffic.
Obviously, like we've got a number of laps tonight for the two heats, but again, it is such a significantly short lap number. The would there be benefit to some of the guys, let's say outside of the top 10, not to really worry about how they go for the first few laps, come in and grab an early set of tyres and then try and get out of sequence of being in traffic and try and accumulate some lap times with a bit of fresh air? Or does the pit transfer and tyre time nearly take the same amount of time as a lap? Do you have any info on that, Shane?
I haven't had the chance to look into that, but I would hazard a guess that by the time you come into the pits and take a full service and come back out again, you would potentially be looking at ending up in amongst traffic that's a lap ahead of you, which would ultimately defeat the purpose of that early stop. So that could pose quite a unique challenge for the guys out there tonight, where normally you can, if you're in traffic, you can look to get that undercut by getting in early, but if you're just going to end up in traffic again by pitting, then it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, that was what I was wondering, or it may be to some of your benefit, because obviously if you're down the order and you can get out through that pit stop and come out in front of some of the front runners, you may be able to slow them up enough to cause a bit of congestion to, when the rest of the guys come out, benefit yourself with a bit of a jump. So it's it is going to be very interesting. And just having a quick look off to the side here in the chat on YouTube there, we've had Laseth, Rehan's dad, give us a quick message, and he's said, tough track to master, and what are the temps like for those lap times? So looking at what data I've got here, Laseth, we'll put that back up here again quickly for you, stating that the outside temp is 21 degrees, no humidity, a little bit cloudy. I don't know if you've got any other data there, Shane, that says what the track temp may be?
Looks like there it's saying 22 degrees.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I see that there, temperature 22. So, and I know from across the way in Div 1 that a lot of the guys are doing about mid and low 46 second times. Most of the guys within the top 7 teams seem to be doing just under 47 second timings, so if that gives you a bit of a heads up as to what our Div 1 races are doing tonight. Obviously tonight we are streaming with our Div 2 boys after Shane took on the massive challenge of streaming Div 1 last week by himself for an enduro round. How did that go, Shane?
Well, it very much was a challenge. At times was struggling to control all the cameras and keep talking, but I managed to get there in the end with the help of running a hot lap in the car with just the volume turned up and giving me a chance to stop talking for a little bit.
Well played. Go. So, cars are gridded up. One of these things will allow me to see those cars. P1 qualified tonight, Leon Ware, and he's sporting once again a new livery on that car. Jim's artificial okay, I can't really finish saying that word.
Yeah, that's an interesting sponsor he's got on the side of that, isn't it?
It's very interesting. Last few seconds counting down, we have Scott McKenzie rounding out P2, Cole Buchan there in third, Trent Bennett there in fourth, over Daniel Nolan in fifth, Jared Eccleston Stonesy in sixth, Stefan Adams in seventh, Carl Rankin, so teammates there with Stefan Adams in eighth, Peter Vanderberg, happy birthday boy in P9, and Derek Lovegrove has rounded out our top 10 as the lights come up and they are about ready to go.
Green, green, green.
So they're off, and Leon's got the jump off the front row. Cole's going to look to challenge Scott McKenzie, but Scott actually coming out alongside now. And they squeeze down through turn 1, looking pretty well behaved for the moment. Everybody manages to get through the first tight hairpin nice and cleanly.
Whoa!
Oh, that was Scott
But
McKenzie lifted it right up on 2 wheels through Clark Corner there. Now into this drop down. Normally it's a jump over coming up over the top of the hill, but you're dropping away now through this little chicane. Running in the direction we are tonight.
monster first lap.
That was Leon Weir leading, but Cole Buchan challenging that lead down into turn 1 here on the second lap. He's going to go down the inside to get it pulled up. He does, gives plenty of space. They're still side by side on the exit, and Leon's going to have the inside for turn 2 now. And it looks like Cole might have just lifted and conceded that position.
Whew. As Trent Bennett,
Trent Bennett goes off into the gravel.
Hard place to come back onto the track there as well, so dropping a fair few grid spots down into 11th spot there now.
He's done a good job to rejoin nice and cleanly though.
Just see some data. Derek Lovegrove there falling off the side of the track. We'll come back and have a look at how that took place again here in a second. And still holding on to P1 is Leon Weir over Cole Buchan and Scott McKenzie there in P3. Stefan Adams putting on some pressure onto the back of Daniel Nolan there.
He's going to look to go down the inside. This is a tricky spot to make it work. He's going to commit to it though. They both managed to get through side by side, and he just has to concede a little bit there. That would have slowed them up a lot, and you can see just how much Jared Eccleston in behind and Peter Vanderberg behind him have been able to close up on these two and looking to challenge ahead of them now.
Certainly did, but good respect and nice clean driving from the guys ahead of them.
Oh, Stefan locks up and goes wide. That's going to create an opportunity for Jared Eccleston. I've got to say, I'm a little bit offended by that number on a Mustang, Doug.
Oh!
There's a touch and Jared's gone off into the dirt and Peter follows him as well.
Yeah, that we'll have to go back and have a look and see what happened there. But Peter Vanderberg going into the back of Jared Eccleston and both cars going off into the sand trap there.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't have been anything malicious from Peter. He's not that type of driver at all, so he's probably just misjudged where Jared was going to get on the brakes there and just ran into the back of him. And unfortunately, they've both gone off as a result, and it looks like Peter has come off second best from that one at this stage.
As indeed. Let's have a look and see if we can dissect that quickly.
Also, Jared has come across quite late while Peter was looking to maybe go for that gap there, so it's a tough one. I'm not quite sure whether it was a move in the braking zone. He might have moved across just before the braking zone, but late enough that Peter maybe didn't quite have enough time to react to that.
Indeed, yeah, very tricky one to call. So Leon Weir currently leading, and I must say that he's sporting quite a flamboyant colour scheme there on the side of this car. And I think I've just noticed something incredibly funny on the rear quarter panels of that car, where it looks like there's a Red Bull bull, and it appears to be shooting rainbows out from a certain appendage there, and then the car is covered in splatters of rainbow. Well done, Leon.
Yeah.
You continue to surprise and amaze us. I think on the back of that car it may even say something about tasting the rainbow, like the Skittles ad. So he's certainly certainly branching into a few different markets there on that one. So let's have a look down through the rest of the order. We've got Wayne Spencer making a move on Carl Rankin, which he's been able to pull that off quite tidy. And Wayne actually doing a good job at the moment, up 7 grid spots from where he started. That's very respectable. And Carl Rankin just losing a spot to his teammate Stefan Adams there as well. And also another spot there to Trent Bennett. Unlucky there, Carl. That was so just caught a wee bit off sync there, I'm guessing, and it's just fallen down through the order a wee bit. Let's have a look at this gentleman here. What can you tell us about the man on screen at the moment?
Well, Steve Darren is our weekly sponsor this week. STI, Steve Darren Interiors. Put Steve up if you're after any interior commercial fit outs. Yeah, here's your man.
Awesome stuff. And while he's keeping it on the track, as much as we'd love to keep you on screen, Steve, you'll probably end up in some form of disaster. So let's go and have a look and see who else we can get off there for you. In front of you, Andrew Johnson. He's getting pressured there by Rob Higgins. Down there in 13th spot. Simon Willis making smoke trails there ahead of him.
Yeah, sending out some smoke signals.
Just quickly jumping back to our viewers at home, once again Laseth thanking us for the info, saying cheers gents and hello, been a while. It certainly has been, Laseth, and we very much enjoy that you've come along here to enjoy some good old SuperCars NZ racing. You've spent a few seasons there with your boy, carving some cool memories into time and showing some of us New Zealanders how such a cool young upcomer Australian boy with a little bit of New Zealand bloodline, if I'm not mistaken, is on a warpath to making a name through New Zealand and Australia. So we still tune in and check on Rehan with his Scop series, and he's still doing very well.
Yeah, for sure. Rian was very successful in the. A lot going on in that shot.
Yeah, I just caught that. I think it was Wayne Spencer. No, I'm not too sure what happened there. Rob Higgins crash. Let's have a squiz at that. Oh, sorry, wrong button. No, this must be something else.
So this is down in towards turn 1 and just locking rears and looping it. Does he manage to get out of the way of the oncoming traffic? He does a good job of that, guys.
Did a very good job.
Rejoining nice and cleanly out the other side.
Was it Steve Darren? Oh, there we go. Okay, so Steve just avoiding what I could only assume was Andrew Johnson there and possibly Simon Willis or Wayne Spencer maybe.
Unfortunately, I just lost sound momentarily there.
It's not too bad. So we've got some of our front runners come into the pits. So Leon Weir, he's in and out, done his bits and pieces. Scott McKenzie's in there alongside Daniel Nolan, Grant Bristow and Simon Wallace. This time round, as I just saw Bill go deep into the sand trap at the back, so he'll be wanting to come in to get a fast repair for sure. That was a that was a bit. Oh, we've also got Leon Weir crashed as well. So have a quick look at that. So it's just after he's exited pit lane. Oh, just catching the drop, unluckily. So, but doing some early celebration donuts there, and still keeping it just in front. No, he's been rounded up. So we'll keep an eye on that battle. So I can see that Cole Buchan has made it past Leon, so he'll be wanting to amend that very quickly.
Yeah, so Leon might have just been a little bit keen on cold tyres coming out of the pits. Just looked like it got a bit too much of that inside curb, and cold tyres couldn't quite handle it, and it looped around. Scott McKenzie getting all out of shape there, but managing to get it pulled up.
That was an interesting moment to choose to have that, wasn't it?
It was, and I actually saw Scott take a trip through the gravel on his in-lap as well, and he's still been able to close the gap a little bit to the guys in front of him. Of course, helped by Leon having that off track, but I think he's a bit closer to Cole than he was when they came in as well.
Try not to pay too close attention to the top of Leon's roof there, mate.
That is fantastic.
Oh wow. I'm now lost as to what camera angle I need to run. Oh, there we go. So he has got to taste the rainbow on the back of the car.
And a bit of homage to his previous livery there as well on the rear wing.
Yeah.
Oh, he runs through the dirt, sort of gets away with it, but it would have cost him a bit of time.
Leon pushing his car to the absolute max as he's desperate to get back into his qualifying position at P1 ahead of Cole Buchan, who started in third.
Scott McKenzie's soaking up a fair bit of pressure from Daniel Nolan behind him at the moment as well. Daniel just showing the nose, but not really a spot to try and go down the inside there. Loving them throwing it over these curves. It's proper V8 racing, isn't it?
Jump on board here for a minute, and this might be able to give people a bit of a view at home as to what exactly the drivers are seeing and putting up with.
Yeah, certainly a very tight and tricky track. You can see Scott McKenzie just locking up in front there through turn one.
Andrew Johnson getting out of that.
So the tricky right-hand turn braking zone in turn 3 there. Normally it's an acceleration zone when you run in the other direction, but a nice challenge of the reverse circuit gives you the curved braking zone, and that drop away through 4 and 5 and then climbing back up the hill here, and he's poked the nose down the inside. Space given by Scott, but has gone off the track, and Scott's just considered another spot as well, or was that there might have been lap traffic that's gone through on him here?
It is, yep.
51, yeah.
Yeah, so Scott will be
down the order.
Getting out of that one pretty quickly, I'd say, as the competition here at the front gets spicy. just clicked onto that at the right time. I saw the data of Leon and Cole getting very close together, and we can see how much Leon's trying to absolutely maximise that, as he looks like he was about ready to take another trip down through pit lane, as he was hanging out so far out through the weeds. So that's probably hurt him quite a bit there now, I'd say.
Yeah, it's got them to over a second behind Cole, so he's going to have to regroup, try and get that rhythm back and see if he can pull the gap down. There's not too long to go now, still 2 laps at the end of this one, but we're seeing how quickly those laps are ticking down with the 47 odd second lap.
They are indeed. But big ups to this gentleman here, Cole Buchan, has managed to keep his cool and get up 2 spots from where he started. Now coming up into some lap traffic. So they've got quite an interesting race ahead for a 30 lapper if they're starting to run into the back of cars already here at the front. So it's one of those things. For this race may be done, but the next race may not be done till the fat lady sings, as they say.
That's right, and you can see just how much Leon's already been able to close the gap, as Cole hasn't been able to find a way around Rob Higgins here. Rob does just get out of the way now, and it sounded like he might have gone through the gravel getting out of the way as well, unfortunately. Bill Kilger, the next car to deal with.
Bill getting out of that.
Bill does a good job.
And letting Leon
gets out of the way of both guys, so keeps it nice and fair, but Leon maybe nearly within striking distance again. He's got this lap and the next one, but really the only strong overtaking opportunity is going to be into turn 1, so he needs to get close enough on this lap as Peter Vanderberg challenging the back of Carl Rankin down towards turn 1. He's going to show the nose, just pulls back in. Got a lock in there from Carl. Does Peter get the better exit? He does. He's going to have a bit of a run on him. Looking to get alongside. Can he get the move done down into turn 3? Had a look, but just thought better of it. Cole and Leon are coming down the front straight now, and
Cole making a bit of a wobble.
Yeah, Cole going wide. That might give Leon just half a sniff. He tucks into the slipstream. Can he get it done? Maybe throw it down the inside into turn 3. No, thinks better of that. Sort of need to be alongside before the braking zone if you're going to make a move at turn 3. And I think at this point, as he goes deep into the chicane as well, and now it's Cole's race to lose. If Cole can get to the end without making any major mistakes, then he should be able to cross the line and take the win.
There he goes. Cole Buchan P1 over Leon Weir finishing in P2. Great race between those guys. Daniel Nolan taking out P3 ahead of Scott McKenzie, who dropped down a couple of spots there from the beginning. Stefan Adams up 2 into P5 over Trent Bennett down 2. Bit of a shake and rumble round through from there from the start. Jared Eccleston down 1 spot to finish 7th. Daniel Johnson, big credit, up 5 to finish there in 8th over Wayne Spencer in 9. And Carl Rankin rounding out the top 10. Peter Vanderberg just down a couple of spots into 11. Simon Willis up 3 into P12. Derek Lovegrove down a few to 13. And Grant Bristow coming across the line in 14th, just ahead of this week's race sponsor, Steve Darren. A very, very interesting race. It's certainly going to be an interesting one moving into the feature race for this evening.
Yeah, sure will. So we've got a bit of a 6-minute warm-up in between, and then we're going to roll into that 30 lapper. So it will be very interesting to see how they go in there. They're going to line up in the order that they finished that first race. But yeah, a few more laps, 8 more laps than what they did in that first one. So it will be very interesting to see how they deal with that.
Will be indeed. So the guys are out there now for a 6-minute warm up, which I'd suffice to say there's probably not going to be too many probably going out and doing too much out there, I'd say, because it's certainly an action-packed enough track to keep the mind busy. I think taking that downtime just to let the heart rate come back down and get the blood back into the fingertips would be my state of play before moving ahead into the next race.
Yeah, there was certainly a fair amount of concentration when I dropped into the Discord server tonight. So potentially, with that level of concentration going on, a lot of the guys could be looking to get that little bit of rest and recuperation before they do refocus on that second race coming up.
Yeah, I had heard a few of the guys saying that for the practice period that they felt that they were making slow steps backwards rather than forwards, and a few saying yeah we're probably overdriving it, overthinking the practice time and just not settling into it, taking that approach of calm thoughts and just taking it easy. You can only achieve good lap times by staying on the track, as when we were watching them through the practice period, as we had seen a few occasions during the race. If you're not on the track, you're not completing a good lap time, and when it doesn't take that long to get around the track at all, you can't spend too long playing in the sand traps, can you?
No, that's right. Very, very close margins we were seeing in qualifying over a short lap, so you can see just how much gravel is surrounding the track, and it very much punishes you as soon as you do go off. And as you say, if you spend a bit too much time out there in the gravel, you're very quickly going to end up down the order and potentially having to deal with making room for the leaders to come through as well.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I think as we see here from aerial view of the track, just how many areas of sand trap runoff there is, gives you a very good understanding of how many places there is where the cars have a high likelihood of coming off the track and needing to have that speed arrested before coming into contact with either a tyre bundle or another car. So if you think that, for a track that only has probably about 9 corners and there's a sand trap at each one, and you go and absorb 5 to 6 seconds at each, you're very quickly going to lose laps, not just seconds.
That's right, and making it all the more challenging is every corner around here has something other than just the shape of the corner itself to deal with to make it more challenging. So you got turn one, the big downhill braking, dropping away down the front straight into there, so very difficult to get it pulled up in time there. You got to brake a fair bit earlier because the car's just going to want to continue running down the hill. Then you got turn two is really just a flat out right-hander that leads into turn three, which on paper almost looks like a simple corner until you factor in the fact that through that braking zone you are still turning through the last parts of turn two while you're trying to get it slowed down, which supercars don't like to brake and turn at the same time, and that's what you're having to do. So again, you're having to compromise some of that braking performance, braking a bit earlier to get it pulled up. And then turn 4 and 5 looks, again on paper, looks like a simple chicane, but it drops away massively as you come into there. So very easy to understeer through there. The front gets very light, and you've got to find the right line to deal with the fact that you're probably not really going to be turning at all through the middle of that. And then you drop down through turn 6, and then down into turn 7, and then you're climbing all the way back up through 8 and 9. So just a lot of elevation change, but other factors going on as well that make it very difficult to get the car through each of those corners, and very much more difficult than it looks on paper, as can be said about a lot of tracks that we see supercars go to in real life that are as short as this one and look simple on paper, but are anything but.
No, that's exactly right, and that's a really good breakdown of the of the track map and what we've just seen for the last few laps there as well. That a track again that only appears to really have 8 or 9 corners, but each corner is critical, absolutely critical to get through nice and cleanly. Or else, as we've seen from the aerial before, Sandtrap's ready there to swallow you up, and possibly potentially a significant line of cars sitting there ready and wait to go back on by. So this next race, the feature race for this evening, 30 laps ahead of us, is going to be an exciting one. I definitely don't want to forecast anything, but I believe the first few 5 cars at the front are going to be playing for keeps within the first few corners. So we'll be keeping our eyes firmly fixated on those guys for the opening lap. And if any other crash data comes up, we will have a look back on that on the replay. But I don't often say it, but I think the race tonight could potentially be won by turn 1. So we'll see what happens.
It could be. It could certainly be lost by someone at turn 1 as well.
Green, green, green.
I don't want to say it too soon, but it looked like Cole Buchan had a bit of a roll forward there as well while the lights were staging up. Oh,
there's drama in behind.
Moment.
Looks like everybody doing fairly well to avoid that, actually. A couple of cars getting caught up, but most of the guys in behind getting on the brakes and doing the responsible thing and taking their time to get through that nice and cleanly.
Yeah, again, we'll have a look back at that in a minute and see exactly what unfolded.
Well, it looked like it was Scott McKenzie. He started from 4th place, and it looked like one of the other Festive Food cars has already gone past him.
Yeah, and the other one's just gone off into the sand trap there as well.
So I think Scott might have got a poor getaway and maybe just got clipped by someone who was a little bit unsighted. That would be my first guess, but we'll break it down when we get a chance to look at it in more detail. They've already completed the first lap. Cole Buchan leading from Leon Weir. Leon, pushing very hard and locking the rears into turn 1. That's going to send him deep, and now he's going to have to think about Daniel Nolan behind him. Daniel probably just a little bit too far away to put too much pressure on at the moment, and Leon is pushing back onto the back of Cole Buchan now, so potentially could look to get a good run up the hill onto the front straight, and maybe, no, he's probably a bit too far back there again, coming onto the main straight, so a little bit of comfort for Cole at the moment, and again, Leon, just having a little bit of a twitch under brakes down into turn 1. This time just getting out wide, trying to open up the corner and getting on that AstroTurf and just snatching the rears a little bit.
Cole's turn just have a small lock up there, but certainly hasn't given anything back much in the way of any grievance to Leon, as Leon's sending it over each and every one of the curbs that he can find possibly at the moment to shorten the distance between the corner. Sitting in a pretty good run there. A bit further back we have Derek Lovegrove closing into the back of Rob Higgins, and a bit further down the order, Carl Rankin moving forward, making a move on Bill Kilger. And getting through that not too badly.
Nice move, plenty of damage on Carl Rankin's car there, so he may have been caught up in that early drama we saw.
Yes, indeed. There's that battle there between Derek and Rob again.
Yes, to Derek right in behind, not able to find a way around through this part of the track, and Rob potentially getting the better exit off the final corner there and getting enough of a run to open up a little bit of a gap. Oh, but he's run wide, that might open the door, but Derek had to lock up himself there. Has half a look, shows the nose, but Rob not falling for that one, shuts the door.
Wee bit untidy through there, and that's allowed Derek to absolutely stonk on by through him very cleanly and still holding good speed too. So I think Derek will now be able to put his eyes forward on his next target, which will be Simon Willis, who is sitting a couple of seconds ahead of him. We're just going to go back and have a look at the start. I've got some data here. It actually shows Ed Bacon crashing first, so we'll see where that took place and how that had an effect on the start. So I don't think there was actually much there. I think it was just because he dipped the brake again. But see him just coming up onto issue there. So then we'll have a look at the Scott McKenzie one, who, as you said, was in P4. So he lit it up, and actually got caught.
So that looked like Carl Rankin got hit from behind by somebody else, which turned him into Scott's path. So that's very unfortunate for both of those guys, really. I'm not sure how Carl got hit, whether he was maybe just trying to avoid Scott and found himself cutting across the path of another car potentially.
Yeah.
I think Carl's the one we want to be with if we've got data on Carl.
So that's yeah. So that was Carl there, just getting tripped up a wee bit by Daniel Johnson. So haven't got anything actually more than that. That was just by ticking through some of the past data. So wee bit hard
so
to
it looks
find.
like Daniel himself didn't get away too well and just was looking to move around Scott, who got away even slower, and as he was doing that he just wandered a little bit into the path of Carl. So I think that's just one of those things where you have got guys doing different things at the start and it's very hard to be aware of everything that's going on around you, and I think Carl was very much in his blind spot there, so it's just one of those things, unfortunately, I think.
It is, but how's the pressure here from the front?
Yeah, Leon looking very racy. You wonder if Cole's just potentially managing his tyres a little bit, and
Oh!
as Leon drops a wheel and goes off into the infield, I think he found the tyres as well.
Oh, and he'll be coming in, I imagine. It looks like he's got a bit of a banana happening now with his car. To hang on to it for a few more corners. He said that's enough for me. Ooh, it'll be interesting. I wonder if he might have just been going a bit too fast coming into pit lane there as well. Wheel lock up after going over past the yellow line, so we'll see how long he ends up sitting in there. Oh, is it Cole Buchan now as I click back onto him? Off into the weeds.
Manages to not concede a spot. So those guys were racing well clear of the rest of the field
Yes.
at that point.
Yes, they were. So Cole Buchan's next competition is actually Stefan Adams, who teammate and is just over 3 seconds behind him in P2. All of those cars there, no one's currently had a stop. So the ones that have had a stop is Leon Weir, who we just saw before, Derek Lovegrove, Steve Darren, Daniel Johnson and Trent Bennett. So some of those guys just ahead of Cole at the moment are the ones that have already stopped. Let's see where Leon's come out after all that. So he's just come out of pit lane now, I believe. Maybe the lap before. So he's sitting back there in P10. We'll keep an eye on that. I imagine he might not be too bad off if he looks at just circulating some tidy laps as he runs.
Oh, and that's what he's got to deal with, the traffic that he's in amongst, and
Yep.
that was... Well, that was
Andrew
lap
Johnson.
traffic.
Andrew Johnson, now Grant Bristow in front of him.
Yeah, so Grant Bristow is 4th position on track, but Grant hasn't pitted, so
Yep.
Grant will probably be aware that this isn't necessarily his race and probably won't fight it too hard, but he doesn't have to get out of the way. He's certainly got the right to keep racing his race, but he does just leave the door open for him and
Yes.
lets him go there.
It was a wee bit of a tricky one there because I know Leon's on charge, but he's certainly not a malicious driver by any standards. So I think that wee bump and grind coming up over that crest, I just think he just had no other room to go.
Oh, and he's got way too hot through the chicane there. He goes off the track. He'll have a slowdown to serve as well.
It hasn't got that data, so you're looking at something else that I must have missed.
Yeah, well, I saw it live on my screen.
Okay, there was Leon, wasn't it?
It was Leon.
Oh, okie pokey. Well, let's have a squiz and see what else is happening around the track. So Derek Lovegrove closing in on the back of Bill Kilger. So Derek's taken his stop, Bill hasn't. Few more guys on the pit lane at the moment. Stefan Adams, Jared Eccleston, Simon Willis and Carl Rankin.
Yeah, so we are approaching that halfway mark, so a good time to be getting in, getting those starting tyres off and getting a fresh set on to try and take you to the end.
Well, I thought Derek might have had a good run there, but I think he might not have done enough to get past Bill on this lap.
Yeah, Bill's certainly not making it easy. I imagine he'll give space once Derek does get alongside, but until then, we know Bill, without blue flags, will just keep running his race, keep hitting his marks, and
Ooh,
as he's
traffic.
perfectly entitled to do as they deal with some lap traffic there, and Daniel running off, just awkwardly catching that lap traffic on the outside there.
So something's happened. So leading at the moment, Peter Vanderberg, who hasn't stopped, ahead of Daniel Nolan, who has, and then Leon Weir in third. Cole Buchan now dropped back to 5th spot. So I'll see if there's anything there.
I wonder if that's just a consequence of that trip we saw Cole take through the gravel there earlier on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that says if he went anywhere else. I've got data from passing Grant Bristow. Simon Willis having a crash, but nothing else to suggest why that might happen. So yeah, obviously what we were talking about before, with spending a wee bit of time in the gravel trap can certainly hurt here at the short track. Jared Eccleston lining up Grant Bristow there for a bit of a run, which is not happening just at the moment. Getting in nice and close as he comes through the last couple of corners. And there was an almighty attack up over the ripple strips there for Stonesy, and Grant ended up going into the pits that lap to serve his compulsory. There's not too many.
I'm quite intrigued as to how Daniels emerged from his pit stop ahead of Leon Ware there. So we saw after Leon had that issue and came in to take the pit stop on the fast repair, we then saw Cole have his trip through the gravel, and he was still a few seconds clear of Stefan Adams, who was next closest on track at that stage. Daniels only pitted just recently on lap 14, and he's emerged ahead, although Leon has just managed to get past him.
Yeah, Daniel having a big wobble coming up over the last corner there beside pit lane entry, a bit of a tank slapper happening there. So Leon with the tidy run out managed to just walk on by him. Daniel appears to be a wee bit hurt. Maybe he's hurt his tyres a little bit. Just the car seems a bit nervous, sliding around, a bit of understeer oversteer drama as we see Stefan Adams behind him now making good of those little few small errors that are taking place. Certainly some hot battles still happening there.
Yeah, Leon had a bit of a moment through towards the end of that lap, but it's allowed Daniel to get on the back of him again and start putting a lot of pressure on him. Peter Vandenberg's come in to take his pit stop, which will cleanse the field now. The order we've got there will be their running order with everybody having completed their compulsory pit stop.
Certainly was. We see Peter going by, I believe, is Marty Mitchell. No. No, I'm well and truly lost. Oh, so it was for position. I thought it was for a lap down. I must apologise. So Peter Vanderberg making a nice clean pass for position over Simon Willis there. So that was certainly a great move happening there. Daniel Johnson lining up Bill Kilger for a move for position. Daniel down 6 spots at the moment, while Bill is currently up 3 from where he started. Some battling happening up here at the front, not much separating P1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, super tight there at the moment. Leon leading at the moment from Daniel. Stefan not far behind.
Oh, Leon locking up and sliding through turn 1 there.
Yes, Daniel's going to look to pick up the draft along here. Probably not quite close enough to make a move, but closed in very quickly and I think made contact.
Oh
and
no!
Oh no!
Looked like Wally was just trying to address that position with Leon there.
Well, I think it was still out of control, but he's done the right thing and he's making sure he comes in behind Stefan. And more action at the front as Cole goes around. Leon's somehow still leading. I saw Bill Kilger caught up in all of that. Jared Eccleston goes in the lead now.
Oh, we're gonna have to have a quick look at this because it all turned to absolute chaos. So let's just jump back and have a look at this one here. So Daniel Nolan, after Leon had gone off track.
There was just a little bit of a touch there as he got unsettled with the rear locking. Leon went into the wall. And then at this point, I think it was Cole Buchan had managed to get in front.
That's not Cole Buchan on screen. What's it doing?
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was too. Sorry.
So that's Cole. So he manages to get in front of all this, takes the lead, and then moments later, does he get a touch as well?
Oh,
He does
it
get
does.
a touch. Oh. And then Bill Kilger coming through, getting pushed sideways by one of the AJR cars.
Goodness me. So there's Bill's one here.
The Bill all had been off track. Oh. Now, was that for position, or did Bill have blue flags? I think that was for position, wasn't it?
I think it was. So it
In which case,
looks like people may have sorted out their own bit of dramas there. So Jared Eccleston still leading it. Cole Buchan has managed to slip back into P2 where he would have been after he had the unfortunate tap and turn by Leon. And so Leon's jumped back into third spot where he, I suppose, respectively would have been ahead of Stefan Adams after the Daniel Nolan incident where he outbroke himself into the back of Leon. And if you've been able to keep up with all that, well done to you. I think I've got it right.
what it all means, though, ultimately, is Jared Eccleston out front with a 5-second lead with just 5 laps to go. So,
Yep. And with a 47-second lap time taking place around the track, you would have to be doing a second lap faster than him to be able to draw him back into place. And looking at the last few lap times, then they're only doing about 400ths of a second, possibly quicker than him to maybe half a second. So at the moment, you see that time's come down to about 4.5. No, stretched out again. Oh, Cole Buchan again. What's happened there? So let's try and work that out. So this is watching Leon. So Cole Buchan just ahead of him. What's happened? Oh, big moment. Getting crossed up coming out of the last corner. So Jared actually extending his gap from P1 back to P2. Well done. Keep at it, son.
you know what? I think Jared was one of the guys leading the calls for this track to be replaced by something else. He might be a bit more fond of it now if he can hold on to this.
Well, maybe that's why he wanted to give it away, is because he knew he was going to dominate. So Jared Eccleston over Leon Ware, and then Stefan Adams up 2 spots into third. Cole Buchan, his teammate, still moving forward, and then rounding out the trifecta Simplex is Carl Rankin sitting there in 5th, up 5 spots. Daniel Nolan has done nothing but slowly work his way backwards through the grid from where he started, down 3 spots into 6 after sitting up there in P1. Derek Lovegrove making a awesome charge for tonight so far, up 6 into 7 spots. Ahead of Simon Willis, 8th. Steve Darren, our week sponsor, whoop whoop, inside the top 10, doing it well, up 9, just ahead of Rob Higgins, who is getting hunted down by a really ugly looking Mustang of Peter Vanderberg that's decided to throw away parts of the car to try and go faster.
Yeah, missing the hood off that car.
Last couple of laps, Leon's going to be wanting to make sure he doesn't overcook any of these corners. As Stefan Adams is within striking range to take an extra step on the podium. Peter Vanderberg actually using the lightweight Mustang to close into the back of another Mustang of Rob Higgins there. Pete will be looking at wanting to get that position if he can, finishing inside the top 10. It's all for the better for the points. Thank you very much, Steve Darren Interiors, for your week sponsorship, mate. It's always good, and you're always contributing back to SuperCars NZ massively, week after week, year after year. So thank you very much, Steve, Darren and iRacing for the super awesome platform that you provide to us to be able to see such cool racing such as this. As Jared Eccleston about halfway through his final lap now, just leading by 3.7 seconds over Leon Weir. So
yeah, he's backed it right off in the last couple of laps, just keeping it nice and smooth, making sure he gets to the end cleanly. So hopefully he's not backed it off to the point where he's going to lose concentration and make a stupid mistake, but he's got one more corner to negotiate now. Missed the apex by a mile, but kept it on the track. That's the main thing when you're leading by 3.5 seconds, and
that's it.
Brings it across the line and takes the win.
Does not care. Give it away. The last corner. Well done, Jared Eccleston. P1 over Leon Weir there in P2. And Stefan Adams rounding out P3. So big credit to all of those guys. Well done. Awesome racing tonight. Cole Buchan there finishing in 4th. I know he'll be a wee bit disappointed with himself, but everyone's managed to get through to the end with some form of survival. Carl Rankin 5th over Daniel Nolan finishing in 6th. Derek Lovegrove gone, he's out of here, but well done, rounded out P7 ahead of Simon Willis there, P8. Steve Darren doing a wicked job there, P9. Rob Higgins getting rid of any last amount of fuel and traction on those rear tyres. And Peter Vanderberg, the happy birthday boy, rounding out P11. There we go. What an awesome, it was quite an interesting night. Exciting, fast, hard track for everyone to roll on through. And everyone making the most of killing their cars as part of that celebration now. Well, there we go, Shane.
Highly entertaining racing. I was hoping we might see Jared Eccleston's name pop up.
Yeah, so was I. I was just
squad, but hasn't shown his face yet. He hasn't been joining for the races because he does like to have a bit of silence for his concentration while he's racing. But I was hoping he might drop in so we could have a chat to him, but unfortunately, hasn't dropped in just yet.
Not to mind if it doesn't. I'm sure he'll hear us on the stream later on when he goes back and watches it again. So yeah, congrats, Jared. Well done. Awesome drive tonight, mate. I know it sort of fell all into your open palms there towards the end, but you had to be there to collect it, and you'd been doing a great job keeping out of drama and moving forward throughout the race. And yeah, well done. P1 for you. Awesome stuff. Massive thanks to Sparko Gaming from Allports. If you're in the market as a sim racer and you're looking for something to be able to give you a bit more of an edge, Sparko Gaming have a great range of products for sale, from gloves to boots to socks and a few other bits and pieces in between, including seats and things for your simulator. Get in touch with Richard or Chitty there at Allports Gaming and let him know that SuperCars NZ sent you along. See what he may be able to do to help you out to get you to go faster. Shane, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm looking forward to hopefully joining you on track again on Thursday night. Hopefully you'll be able to find yourself home in time to be able to join us after missing out on last week.
Yeah, that's right, Aslan. I was disappointed to miss out last week.
Yeah, I had to carry the name. I had to get us inside the top 10 because you went there.
That's right.
And I did.
Unfortunately, I didn't even get a chance to watch the stream, so I can't even comment on how you did. But
Well,
I'll be looking forward to.
I did it from the commentary booth.
Oh wow, impressive.
Yes, it was. No, it was good fun. So yeah, I hung out with the with the boys, Wayne and Sean for the race. So yeah, so that was Xanthorpe that you missed out on as we head to Hockenheimring GP, which has not been a very good track for me, but I know it has favoured you a bit better in the past. So hopefully Thursday night we'll see the return of Shane White and you getting up there and amongst the guys at the front and shaking them down with a bit of DSA Silver Motorsport.
Yeah, I've had a few not so good races in the last couple of ones that I have managed to show up for. But yeah, last time we raced at Hockenheim, I did have a fairly good result there, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So hopefully I can try and repeat that.
There we go. So join us on Thursday night around 8:30 with the other guys, Sean McNamara and Wayne Bloor, in the broadcasting lounge here on YouTube. Should be fun, good fun racing, and thanks again to the drivers tonight for turning up and putting on such a good show for SuperCars NZ with the Allports Gaming. So, thanks very much, and we will see you all later on.